I had it right. You picked the correct answer. Then you stared at the question longer. You talked yourself out of it, and somehow the wrong answer started to feel safer. So, why does this happen? Most students think changing right to wrong means they overthought the question, but that is not specific enough. The real problem is usually this: you did not know why your first answer was right strongly enough to defend it. That is the key. A lot of students pick the right answer early because their pattern recognition is actually working. They notice the age, they notice the timeline, they notice the key symptom, they recognize the diagnosis. But then anxiety kicks in. And instead of using the stem to confirm the answer, they start using the other answer choices to create doubt. That is when the question flips. You stop asking, what is the stem clearly pointing toward? And you start asking, could this other thing also be possible? That second question is dangerous because on USMLE style questions, the wrong answer is often written to be possible. Not best, not most likely, just possible enough to tempt you. That is how you end up changing from right to wrong. Not because you suddenly discovered a better clue, but because you gave too much weight to a weaker clue. Here is a simple example. You read a stem and everything points to pneumonia, fever, cough, focal lung findings, maybe an infiltrate. You choose the pneumonia-related answer. Then you see another option that sounds like pulmonary embolism, and now you start thinking, well, they are short of breath. PE can cause shortness of breath. What if this is a trick? But that is not reasoning. That is possibility hunting. The exam is not asking, can this answer happen? It is asking, which answer is best supported by the full pattern? That distinction matters. When you change right to wrong, one of three things usually happen. First, you abandon the pivot clue. The pivot clue is the detail in the stem that should have locked the diagnosis or mechanism into place. It might be the age, the timing, the risk factor, the physical exam finding, or one lab value that changes the whole interpretation. You noticed it at first, then you forgot to protect it. Second, you treated a distractor clue like a deciding clue. Wrong answers often contain something familiar: a buzzword, a symptom, a lab abnormality, or a disease association you remember from on key. And because it feels familiar, your brain gives it too much authority. But familiar does not mean correct. The best answer has to explain the case better than the other options. Third, you changed your answer because of emotion, not evidence. This is the big one. A real reason to change your answer sounds like, I missed a clue in the stem that directly rules out my first choice. A bad reason sounds like, I just don't feel good about it anymore. That feeling is usually anxiety, not insight. So what should you do instead? Before changing an answer, force yourself to answer three questions. Number one, what exact clue made me pick my original answer? If you cannot name the clue, then maybe your first answer was a guess. But if you can name the clue clearly, do not abandon it casually. Number two, what exact clue rules out my original answer? Not what makes another answer possible, not what if they are trying to trick me, what actually rules it out? If nothing in the stem rules it out, be careful. Number three, does the new answer explain the whole stem better or just one piece of it? This is where most wrong changes fall apart. The new answer usually explains one tempting detail. The original answer explains the whole case. That is the difference between a distractor and the correct answer. So the goal is not never change your answer. Sometimes changing is the right move. The goal is to stop changing because of vague discomfort. Change only when the stem gives you a concrete reason, a missed detail, a contradiction, a better fitting pattern, a clue you genuinely overlooked. Otherwise, trust the answer that best matches the full clinical picture. Because right to wrong changes are usually not a knowledge problem. They are a commitment problem. You saw the right pattern, you just did not have a strong enough rule to defend it. And that is what you should fix during review. Do not just write, changed right to wrong. Write, what clue did I abandon? What distractor pulled me away? What rule would have made me commit? That is how you turn second guessing into a skill you can actually improve. And if this keeps happening to you, do not just do more questions. Diagnose the pattern behind the miss, because the answer you changed away from may be showing you that your knowledge is closer than you think. Your reasoning just needs to become more stable.